What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And in this video, I guess I want to ask my subscribers a question I asked last month in that video I did. It was kind of more of a historical piece with the Bucks. But in this video, I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about the Bucks, man? Do you think I remember there was some of you guys that said y'all just didn't really believe in them, man. Like you kind of thought, the Bucks are a team that is going to be exposed in the playoffs or what have you. Like, those of you guys who were saying that, do you still feel that way? Um, I know most of the critics of the Milwaukee Bucks say a couple of things. They say that Giannis is limited. Giannis, though having a MVP caliber season, he has some limitations to his game. His post game is not polished, to say the least. Okay. Um, there's some people who talk about, most people talk about his lack of outside shooting. In my opinion, I don't think Giannis needs to be, Pages Stojakovic from outside. It would be nice if he had some 3-point range. If he was just a 33% 3-point shooter, something like that. That'll be good. In my opinion, what he really needs is a consistent outside jumper. If he was to develop a consistent jumper, like maybe, say, David Robinson, or similar to something like David Robinson or Patrick Ewing, then that would be a big plus for the Milwaukee Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Because that would just really open up opportunities for his teammates. Another thing that I'm concerned about with the Bucks is while they are a very deep team, I think their guard rotation is a little bit flimsy. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit. But overall, they're a very deep team, man. And they're going to cause a lot of problems in the playoffs. Right now, they're 49-16 on the year. All right. Prior to the victory last night, they had lost 2 consecutive games. Now, I looked at their remaining schedule. It's relatively easy. They do have some tough teams they got to play. But their main counterpart in the Eastern Conference record-wise, Toronto Raptors, man, I was looking at their remaining schedule with a friend of mine last night, man, and I couldn't believe how easy the Raptors' record is. Like, outside of a back-to-back with the Oklahoma City Thunder, outside of that, their remaining schedule is very easy, loaded with sub-500 teams, like teams like the Magic, the Hawks. I remember seeing the Knicks, the Cavaliers. I believe I saw the Suns. I'm not sure about that, but I know I saw a lot of games with teams like that, man. And if I'm Milwaukee, you really can't even afford to just shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you have I think they have maybe a 3 or 3.5 game lead over Toronto. But with the remaining schedule that the Raptors have, man, I tell you, they might not even be able to rest Giannis and eventually their main starters the way they want to, if having home court advantage is truly important to them. And usually with a team that's up and coming, that isn't, you know, a seasoned championship team that is very confident they can get road victories. Oftentimes, having home court advantage throughout the playoffs is a psychological advantage that most of these neophyte teams want. So, if that's the case with the Bucks, then you know they might have to go down to the wire, man, with the Raptors. But then again, man, sometimes like the Raptors have a tendency, man, to at times lose the teams that you can't believe they lose to. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm concerned about Kawhi to an extent. Like, you know, I mean, I believe he's healthy, but Kawhi has had a habit of playing 2 or 3 games and then missing a game. In the playoffs, they can't do that. He's gonna have to play every game that they're in. You know what I'm saying? So, does that hurt Kawhi? Like, does fatigue starts to play a factor if he's in a series where it goes down to the wire, like 5, 6, 7 games, what have you? I think of all of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, the 2 teams that, if I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan, I'm not all that. Um, I mean, you got to fear every team, man, but the Pacers, I just don't see them, especially without Victor Oladipo. Even with Victor Oladipo, I can't see that team beating the top, 4 teams or whatever in the Eastern Conference. And so I think the Pacers is a team, man, that has upset written all over it, man. Like, as far as whoever they're playing, even in the first round. The Sixers, I'm not totally sold on them, man. I don't know. Ben Simmons, he's a remarkable athlete. I give him that. But people talk about Giannis not having a jump shot, man. At least Giannis is a front court player. Ben Simmons does not have a jump shot at all. And a lot of people think that Ben Simmons needs to work on his shot. And Ben Simmons, from what I can see, doesn't have that work ethic or that desire to improve his overall game like Giannis does. I think Ben Simmons from what I can read about Ben Simmons, and I don't know how true it is, but Ben Simmons comes across to me as somewhat lazy. Now, I know when people say someone's lazy, they tend to think of somebody like Antoine Walker or Derek Coleman or even Charles Barkley, even though Charles Barkley was very successful. Ben Simmons is lazy to the extent that he's like Shawn Kemp. Well, I wouldn't even say Shawn Kemp was lazy. I'm not going to use that. Ben Simmons is lazy because he's going off of his natural athletic ability and talent. But ultimately, he's going to have to become a more multi-dimensional player. And when the playoffs come and the lanes aren't open for him and teams are daring him to shoot and he can't knock down the shot, then he's effectively hurting his team. And I think there's some people on the Sixers who are more interested in achieving statistical glory. I guess you already know who I'm talking about with that one. And then you have Jimmy Butler, man, who can't seem to get along with anybody sometimes. I don't know, man. The Boston Celtics They have an X factor. The X factor is, to me, is Gordon Hayward. Some people question whether or not Kyrie Irving has leadership ability. I think that's a media created fucking myth or what have you. I just think that what's going on in Boston is somewhat normal, given the circumstances. Kyrie Irving missed a good portion of last season. Gordon Hayward missed the entire season. And Boston, to say they overachieved last year is a vast understatement, man. And, you know, but I think that as the playoffs come around, man, I think that the Boston Celtics will shut out all of that outside noise and unnecessary, ruckus and unnecessary distractions. And they're going to get down to business, man. I think Boston is the team that, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, them and I'd say the Toronto Raptors are the two teams that the Milwaukee Bucks should be most concerned about. And I do believe that the Milwaukee Bucks will get to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't know who their opponent's going to be. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. But I think it's going to be between the Raptors and the Celtics, man. The one thing that's making me question the Raptors, man, is fucking Kyle Lowry, man. This motherfucking dude, every fucking playoffs, man, he chokes, man. Every fucking series, man, like when they need him the most, when they're in some type of adversity mode and, they're down and they need him to step up, he always fucking misses, man. Like, I mean, his field goal percentage, like the last couple of finals, man, like conference finals or whatever, when when it was going to go against LeBron, it has to be like in the low 30s, man. But I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win like about 60, 61 games. And if everything goes smoothly, man, no major injuries, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are the favorite, man, to go to the NBA Finals, man. That's my opinion. But tell me what you guys think.